Hey Tabby, lovely to meet with you today.
You too.
Yeah. I want to congratulate you on your exhibition, which was opened on the 21st of August at Printers Gallery in Melbourne. And you
hmm
took it down just last Monday.
Yes, what are we at? Sunday? Yes, last Monday it came down.
Yeah. So how was it? How was if you could sum up the whole experience, how was that?
Um, it's kind of hard to sum it up in a way. It was a lot of things. It
Mm.
was it was really wonderful to finally do it. I moved to Melbourne about 15 years ago, 14 years ago, and I sort of thought, yes, I'm moving to Melbourne from Canberra, moving to this art scene. I'm going to have an exhibition like within a year. I was totally, kind of clueless with that mindset, how much, it would take to have an exhibition. But I just thought, yes, I'm going to do that. And for many reasons, it didn't happen.
Mm.
And yeah, so to finally do that thing it was really important to me. It was something I really wanted to do. So to finally do that thing
Mm.
that's probably been the best thing about it, that I've met that quite core need of that dream and desire that I had, and to show myself that I can actually do that. And that yes, it was a lot of work, but actually it was so much easier than I thought. I think I had it on a pedestal, the idea of having an exhibition, that I had to,
Mm.
I don't know, be a certain artist, have a certain level experience, yada, yada, yada. And then in the end, none of that really applied. I was partway through the process. I sent out my application and it got accepted. And I was kind of like, oh, like that was it. I so could have done this. I so could have done this much easier without a baby as well. Like I had so much time previously. Um, so yeah, it was kind of humbling and very rewarding, um, and challenging as well,
Mm.
in practical senses, and also, um, yeah, like we were kind of discussing before, that there was a scared part of me still going through this process.
Mm.
And so that came up through the process of having the exhibition, with some fear, with anxiety, kind of not feeling happy actually in the lead up to the exhibition, like I thought I would be really ecstatic.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so there was some holding myself that I needed to do through that process, and letting myself know that I'm going to do this, little one, I'm there for you. I hear your fear, but I'm doing this thing regardless. I'm going to show you that I can do this thing, and we're going to be okay. Um, and so once I moved through that, uh, it was really wonderful. Yeah.
Good job. Um, I wanted to, uh, well, I'm curious about the steps in between because thinking back, I was trying to remember the dates of, or, the roundabout years that I'd met you at university. And I think it must have been around 2009, 2010.
Mm. Yeah, around then.
Yeah, yeah. And I loved visiting you in your little space there and seeing what you'd created and that you had already found your abstract visual language by that point.
Mm.
And I fully expected that you would, continue to go on and exhibit and so forth, like a lot of the students do within the first 5 years.
Mm.
And so then when I heard from you 10 years later, 2019, I was stunned that, that you hadn't, and not any, it's not a criticism at all. I was like, it
Mm.
was more just I felt in my heart that there was sort of like a, oh, that's kind of, like my grandson said. that's a bit sad, you know. And loved working with you back then. Just loved your openness to the inner work and being able to clear those blocks that you had to your awesome creativity, because you have so much to give. Um, yeah, and I certainly wanted to see more of your art. So and we did, you know, within those, I think it was only 6 months that we worked together then, and then you came and exhibited at Batlow with the Try This at Home exhibition that I'd organised, and it was wonderful to see you then. And then you helped me with Paint from Your Heart online, which was fantastic. Really
Mm.
support through that. Um, yeah, and then staying in touch, and then finding out about your show. So for me, there's a gap between. Um, you're having this exhibition, and if we just rewind a bit to how that came to be.
Mm. Yeah. I I think there's been a really long journey back to finding belief in myself and confidence in myself. And I say back because I remember being in high school and kind of discovering art and like falling in love with drawing and painting and that beautiful kind of ignorant bliss naivety of just being like, I'm going to be an artist. Like
Mm,
that is what I'm here to do on this planet with no ideas about how difficult that might be or how to get there, just that beautiful dream.
mm,
And art school was amazing in so many ways. I learnt a lot. I was exposed to a lot in the art world and kind of learnt some good practices as an artist, undeniably.
mm,
But I also picked up this kind of messaging around. I just remember there was a teacher who said something as an offhand comment one day about like, oh, don't worry, you'll still be able to eat food as an artist, like, haha. And they were just like those kind of undercurrent comments, largely from teachers, I think, around that kind of thing and how hard it is to be an artist. Um, and I think I took in my own messages as well, seeing maybe artists that are teachers, and I worked in an art shop with artists who were also in retail, and I just thought, is this what being an artist is? Like you get to do it a little bit on the side and then you're working another job. And it kind of just squashed those dreams and belief of it being a possibility for me and took me into a bit of a dark place because then it was like, where is my place in the world? There isn't space for me. I don't know how to do this kind of thing. That was the mental space that I was in. Um, and so when I finished art school, I remember I set up a studio. I'd moved into this house and I set up my space and I just actually couldn't paint. I'd sit down and I just couldn't do it. Didn't really have the desire. It's like that part of me died at that time. Makes me really sad actually talking about that. I feel quite emotional. Um, yeah, so I dabbled for years afterwards. Like I'd had a little bit of a practice, but sort of very much on the side, wasn't a big part of my life. Um, and yeah, I think, and that sort of little dream was always there, but not a real possibility. Uh, and yes, then working with you, we worked through a lot of kind of that patterning and those blockages and that sadness that was there. Um, and I was able to reconnect with just the joy of creating rather than thinking about what's the end goal, what's success, being an artist, kind of all those stories. It was actually like none of that matters. What matters is that I connect with my creative practice because that's a soul core need for me to be okay, actually. Like I just need to have that in my life. And so I had, yeah, I kind of forget timelines, but I feel like a good few years of it just being about nurturing that beautiful practice without expectation, without outcome.
Mm.
Um, and then, yeah, lockdown happened with COVID, the pandemic, and I suddenly had all this time freed up because I was only working part-time and more time for my creative practice, more time to kind of entertain the idea of like maybe this could be a bigger part of my life. And what would that look like? Um, and then yeah, I guess fast forwarding to now or in the last year, 18 months, for me there was something in having a child come into my life, knowing that that was going to happen, where it was kind of like a what am I doing with my life? Like what path am I on? What do I want to show my future child? You know, the way that I'm living, that they're going to see that. Am I living in true alignment with what I'm doing in my life? And I didn't fully know what that full picture was in terms of being a professional artist, but yeah, I kind of, so I'm going on tangents here as I try and form my thoughts and bring it all together. But essentially, Tom and I were on a car trip, my partner Tom, and talking about what my creative practice would look like once our child arrived and how I would have space for that in life. And he actually said something along the lines of, wouldn't it be cool if you did a daily artwork and like seeing that documentation of like his first year of life. And that would be a great way for you to kind of maintain your practice. And I absolutely loved the idea and formed it into my own and decided that I would cut out little 10 centimeter circles of watercolor paper and do some sort of work every day and write on the back a little reflection about the day and the date and that would be a really achievable way to maintain my practice in the chaos of early parenthood. Um, and so that's what I did. And pretty early on, I feel like in the first few months, I just I I can't explain it, but I just like knew that I was going to exhibit it. That was I was going to do that. That this was a profound body of work, at least for me. And actually, as it turns out, you know, so many people could really relate to this work and really, really connected with the daily practice aspect of it. The fact that I was able to do that, and particularly with a newborn and then up to 1 year old, a lot of people really connected with that, which was really lovely. Um, but yeah, there was kind of just this new urgency. There's also less time when you have a child. And so when I did have time, I just used it well. I was like, I'm not going to clean the dishes. I'm going to go into the studio when Murray's asleep. Like, that's just it. And it was kind of this contract with myself, with my family, with Tom. We all knew I was doing this thing. Um, and yeah, there's been this shift in me where I feel like yeah, I've just been so much happier having this practice, making art like this. And I feel like this is my offering to the world. This is my purpose to be here. And I cannot live, if I can't do it for myself, you know, to model to Murray that I'm living life in alignment and I'm not living from fear. Yeah, I think that's actually been what I've needed to get me here. I think I needed to become a mum to have that kick up the butt to get back into alignment. Sure, it could have come from other ways, but for me, that's how it's ended up happening.
Mm.
And so now I just actually have this really strong conviction that I'm a professional artist. This is what I do. You know, I'm not necessarily yet there yet financially. You know, I still have to work on the side, but I just know that I'm going to continue pursuing this. However it ends up looking, it's just too important now. And yeah, so that's a very long answer to that question, but I feel like it's a long story. There's, yeah, many years and many developments throughout that time.
Absolutely. It was a big question and you've answered it admirably well.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah, I'm impressed. So thank you.
Mm.
Um, Something that you said to me before was, about the exhibition specifically was that you had no idea what a big deal it would be. Uh,
Mm.
and you did mention that you were, not elated as you thought, that you were a bit anxious, but just, perhaps if you could speak to that sort of like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this kind of that part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think part of it is that I had really put having a pedestal on, sorry, put having an exhibition on a real pedestal.
Yeah.
So I'd like put it up as this thing that was
Hmm.
a really big deal, hard to achieve,
Hmm.
only like really amazing, fantastic professional artists do this thing. So therefore, in my head, it was an amazing, elating kind of experience. And it was really great, but it's just like also practically, it's just at the end of the day, it's just you showing your work in a space with people. Um,
Mm,
and that is a wonderful thing to do.
mm,
Absolutely.
mm,
And it is a lot of work. And I guess particularly for the body of work that I did, since I had 365 individual circles where, for example, I had, artworks on the front, writing on the back. I wanted to keep a record of this. That was kind of something I decided that if I was going to exhibit and sell it, it's a really precious, precious body of work to me.
mm,
Um, but I decided that I did want to sell. It's part of being a practicing artist if you want to be exhibiting, unless if you have some stack of cash you're willing just to burn, like you're going to have to sell work. And it's nice to be able to share your work with people too.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I wanted to get high quality scans of everything. So you can just imagine that amount of work, both sides, having to scan all of that, then edit all that work on the computer to put in certain files. All the little details of like creating flyers, writing an artist statement. That was huge because that also um, involves all that reflection time of really understanding what you're doing.
mm,
I think particularly as an abstract artist, where there's so much that's just coming from the unconscious, and I often don't stop to think about what I'm doing. I just do it.
mm,
So to then have to kind of put into words, well, first download an understanding what the hell it is you've been doing, and then to put it into words, that took me a long time to kind of do it justice.
mm,
Um, yeah, so there were just, yeah, endless kind of things like that to do, which was pretty full on, while I'm back to work part-time. Um,
mm,
Getting that done in the evenings, it was a lot, but I was quite driven in doing it as well because that purpose is really there. I really, wanted to be doing it. So yes. And I've kind of forgotten what the core part of your question was about that, sorry.
That's okay. You've answered it.
Good.
Yeah. Just interested too in like that time of, intense working toward the exhibition. Sure, you did the 365 days, you made your work.
Hmm.
And then there was only, what did you say, 5 months between finishing that body of work and exhibiting?
Oh, well, I mean, I finished. There was I think about 4 or 5 months between when I like got accepted into the space
Mm,
and when I had the exhibition, but I had 10 weeks between finishing my last work from the 365 days until the exhibition. But that's actually not entirely true because I also created some side works, um, sort of throughout that year, there were certain explorations on those days that I did that I wanted to look at further. And so I did some other smaller and larger works. So even after that year had finished, I was creating works beyond that. However, because they needed to be framed, the gallery needed those 6 weeks before the exhibition, which was fantastic because it meant that was my cutoff. There was no working until the night before, which is kind of what I did for the Batlow exhibition at Via. Um, yeah, there was this kind of deadline for me, which was great because then all the work was done, and then it was just all the other admin pieces around having a solo exhibition. And I didn't actually mention like all the marketing, like I was, doing a lot of social media stuff, trying to promote the show to get it out there as well.
Mm, mm. And did the gallery do some of that for you?
They did. They use Instagram, and they did quite a bit of posting of my work, particularly once the show was up. They kind of were taking videos and photos and sharing those.
Mm,
And they have an email list where they sent stuff out.
mhm,
But nothing beyond that. So I did sort of feel like more was needed to get the word out there. Oh, there was also the art guide. So
mhm,
they put a
mhm,
listing in there for me.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, and I feel like it worked to an extent. There were definitely people who came that weren't friends and family. The
mhm,
gallery is also in a really prominent location, which was a big draw card for me. So their shop window is on, a busy main street in Fitzroy, Melbourne. So, my work's in the window. And even when we were just setting up, there were a lot of people that would sort of look in. And
mhm,
so there were a lot of sort of walkings from that, which was great. Some of the other spaces that I looked at, another place I was considering, it was a little room upstairs in a gallery. And I just sort of felt like, oh, who's going to find this? You're just relying on people who are specifically coming to this show as opposed to walk-bys. Or the gallery that I was at is actually also a framing shop. So
mhm,
at the back part of the shop, they do framing consults. So there are people coming in for that, and then they
mhm.
end up seeing your work. Which, as an emerging artist, I don't have a huge following or anything yet. So that kind of stuff was, yeah, helpful, I think.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Mm,
good.
mhm. So when you did the hang with the director of the gallery, is that right? Or
Y-
there's
Yes, yes, they helped do the hang, but I had a bit of a team of people. I had my husband, a friend of mine, my father-in-law all come to help because it was such an intensive install. Because I hung it as a kind of calendar system on the wall. So it was a grid.
Mhm,
It needed to be aligned nicely, otherwise it would look strange.
mhm,
Um, so my father-in-law made like a jig, a kind of stencil, so we could bring that and put it on the wall and then put all the circles into it. He had his laser level. We had one person getting the removable tape on the works and one person putting them up, someone else checking got the order right. It was a
wow.
very intensive body of work, so different to if you just had canvases or framed works.
Mhm.
It took us all day.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
So when it
and
was
that's just the nature of what I did.
yes, yes. But following it through with such diligence, and that's what I know of you, is that, what happens in your artwork happens beyond your artwork in how you present it. And it's the same
Yeah.
diligence applied right through, and that's just beautiful to see. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just think it's so important, a work it's transformed in the different places you take it and the way you show it. So being thoughtful about the installation, the way it looks, the way it's experienced by someone is so important.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do just have to say that the I had so much support, and
Mm.
I'm really lucky that I have Tom, my husband, who is very interested in what I do and very he's got a very different brain to mine, which is really helpful. He's very methodical. He's very kind of strategic. He's a design background, so he's the one that actually suggested the calendar system. I was kind of like, oh, we'll just, it actually might look good to have it quite kind of natural, like might kind of have them flowing around, organic, circles that could work quite well. And he's like, no, 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 it has to be in a calendar. And I'm actually, you know, I was like, no, it's my choice, of course. But in the end, I was like, oh, it's actually a really good idea. And I'm so glad I did it like that because you could read it as the story from the year. You could see
Mm.
kind of patterns and yeah, the visual story of what happened. But yes, circling back, I had so many help from so many different people in my life to make it happen. And it actually just wouldn't have been possible to do this particular show without that.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I kind of was reflecting on a beautiful parallel of how it takes a village to have a baby.
Mm.
And at the same time as that, like for me, it took a village to have my exhibition.
Mm.
And yeah, just not being I don't know, precious or shy to kind of accept that help, yeah, I needed it and it felt really beautiful to receive that.
Mm.
And, you know, all these different skills of people around me, I'm just incredibly lucky to have. And
Mm. Mm.
yeah.
So when it was all hung and you looked around and saw it, just describe that moment for me.
Do you know, I actually found that part difficult to
Mhm.
because I knew the body of work so intimately, and I guess particularly from going back and reviewing it, doing all the scans, I typed up all of the works on the back. So, went back and reflected on all of that. I was constantly had them in piles and was looking through them throughout the year. So I knew it very intimately. So it was kind of a strange experience seeing it all up. Suddenly it's like no longer this intimate thing in my studio. It's in this, it's big, it's open, it's exposed, this kind of very vulnerable work. Um, so when I say difficult, I mean, it was kind of actually hard for me to drop in and view it like you might go see someone else's work, where
Mm.
it's suddenly fresh and surprising and you're exploring the work. I kind of found, I don't know if it was like partly like adrenaline from kind of the excitement of putting the show up and like, oh my God, I'm doing this thing where I couldn't drop and just experience it. Um, so there was that.
Mhm.
And there was also um it was also cool to finally see all of these little works. I've got a blank one here, like they're just like this big, right? So they were in little stacks in my studio to finally see it all on one wall.
Mm. Mm.
Um, it was really cool. It was.
Mm.
And I definitely felt proud of what I did.
Mm.
Um, really proud. But yeah, I wasn't able to I had kind of hoped when I put it up that I would just be able to experience it like seeing someone else's art. And since it's the first time I've had a show, I don't really know if that's possible.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
You tell me. You've done it enough
Yeah.
times.
Look, in my experience, I don't think it is. Of course, it's not. It's like you've made these things, they've come through you, and it's seeing them objectively is, it can take a long time. Like I'll pull something out that I've forgotten I've made. It's like then I can look at it and go, oh gosh, I need to, I can see it, and I'm going to change that color. I might, do some changes because I can see more clearly. But
Yes.
being your work, it's you're not ever going to be able to see it like somebody else's.
No, no. Okay, that's interesting to hear.
But
Mm.
what you can do is enjoy your work through others' experience. You mean enjoy your
Yes.
work. I think for us, it's like the making is like that's the blissful part.
Yes.
And it's this flowing, and you've made something, and it's like, oh yes, that captures. That's what I wanted to say, or yes, that's a true response. Yes. that yes feeling. And then this is about my next question too, is like, other people responded and shared that with you. And it's in that that you experience your work differently. You get that other
Definitely.
perspective. And so, how was that? How was people's sharing their experience with you?
It was actually really lovely, and surprising. Like works that I thought were fantastic or my favorite,
Mm,
people didn't necessarily respond to. And, you know, certain works that I sold, I thought, oh my gosh, why did you buy that one? They're like, I wouldn't have bought that. Like, that's kind of boring, that one. But, you know, for example, yeah, it was quite a simple, um, a few days of works that I did that someone bought. And I was lucky enough to get to chat to her, and she said, they just make me feel really calm. Which is not something that I had, like, I can totally get now that she said that, but I hadn't had that experience with it. And oh my gosh, that's such a gift that she gets that, like a
yes.
gift to me, knowing that you know, my work has been able to give that to her.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, there's little reflections there where you end up getting to see things that you didn't see in your work otherwise, because people are always going to see different things and respond differently.
mm,
Um, And yeah, there was someone else that bought a work based on what I had written. So I had a room sheet with all of the notes transcribed from the back of the work. And she actually started looking around the show from that perspective. She just read that and she found something that she really connected with. I can't actually remember what it was, but um yeah, she found that and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go find that work now. And then she loved that work, so she bought it.
mm.
Um, so that was really beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that interesting, And that really points to the significance of seeking the truth, like in terms of finding the right words. And I love what you wrote in that there's a simplicity to it. There's a raw honesty to it. It's not sort of caught up in art jargon that people can't get. So you've really sought to go, well, what is it that I'm saying and doing here? And it's like it's there it is. It's been part of the offering, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people did respond to that kind of, it's essentially a diary that I had, and it was just pretty raw, real reflections of every day, which are thoughts we've all had in various ways. So yeah, that was really nice. And it was really nice to have that received so well because, like I said, it was quite vulnerable to
Mm,
share that kind of intimacy of my life.
mm, mm. Yeah. Well, I was thinking what else I want to. Ah, yes. The other thing was, we were talking about before that you said it wasn't an obscene amount of work, that it was a commitment. So if you could just talk to that a little, because I think that's a really important thing for my students, and in fact, any practicing artist to know that in our world that feels so pressured, and a lot of people say I'm time poor, right? On the other hand, you've been able to, with a new baby, claim some time
Mm.
every day to create something. So yeah, um, the commitment, I'm just in awe of what you've done overall. And that commitment has been the foundation of what has come to be. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
we talk about that a little, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, so I think for me, what really worked was having a structure. So
Mm,
rather than it being an open-ended thing of I'm going to create art every day, which could mean anything, right? And then you go down and sit down and it's not working, so you give up and you don't do it, or you're tired, so you don't do it. I I knew that that was going to be, I knew it was going to be difficult to achieve with a baby. So I made the parameters, pretty small and achievable. And I knew the format was going to be a circle every day. And so I pre-ruled up and pre-cut them all. So before Murray was even born, I had, I had a stack of like 30 of them or so ready to go. And I made myself a little art caddy. So I just put little set of watercolors and some fine liners and color pencils, I think. And I, even took that to hospital to have there with me. And I didn't, as it transpired, you know, an emergency cesarean, pretty horrible kind of birth experience, and I had no desire. Like I actually did remember. I actually did remember on the day of his birth about it, that my art practice, and there wasn't even a moment where I considered actually doing it. So I will say there were I think about not that many. I think there were about 35 days in the year where I had blank circles for the days where it didn't happen.
Mm,
Because that's life.
mm,
Sometimes
mm,
it's not possible.
mm,
Um, so yes, I had this structure and also the expectation on myself. So in my mind, as long as I sat down and did something, it could be a scribble. It like that's fine. If that's all it is today, that is fine. But I've gone to my studio or to an armchair in the house and I've taken a moment and I've shown up for that practice. Doesn't matter if it's complete poop. It's like it does not matter. It's actually about the practice of being there. That's what mattered. And then there was like this really beautiful freedom in that of not caring what it looked like. Like I had no agenda about, oh, I'm going to create abstract landscapes for the whole year or do still life for the whole year. There was absolutely no agenda for me. It was about the daily practice. And so then it was like there was none of that kind of stilted, oh, I don't know what to do, or this looks terrible. It was just like I'm doing the thing. And through that I ended up discovering so many cool things that I don't think I would have otherwise because I had that freedom.
mm.
Um, so yes. Sorry, I'm just coming back to how did I have the commitment to,
Well, just that you decided to make a commitment. And
yeah, yeah. So
how
yes,
that
it was
was.
really that structure because I'm actually finding, so since the year ended of that project,
Mm,
I no longer had that structure. I was no longer,
mhm,
I needed that time to get ready for the exhibition. And so I no longer had those circles ready to go. I no longer had that like specific intention about what is it that I'm doing.
mhm,
And yeah, my creative practice has dropped right off.
mm,
And so, and I'm going to come back to it. The exhibition's just finished,
mm,
but it's just really shown me that for my brain, the way that I function, I actually need structure.
mhm,
Because that open-ended idea, it doesn't matter, like, my intention is still to create art. I know it's still important,
mm,
but I don't show up every day to do it anymore because, yeah, there isn't that structure. And also, I guess, living, in a family unit, that they know that that's something that I'm doing. So therefore, when I say I'm going to my studio, I don't have to feel guilty about it because we've discussed it, we've agreed, we know that that's something that I'm doing.
mhm,
So yeah, that's what's worked for me. And it's been awesome to find that because I have wanted to have a daily practice in many things in my life, meditation, art, and I've never managed to do it until this past year.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I think that's why, that structure.
I have noticed a change in you. We have stayed in touch throughout since we first started working together again in 2020.
Hmm.
And the difference is extraordinary. You have transformed yourself and your life. You have a confidence that you hadn't been able to access before. There's a strength, and I'm curious, I'm wondering, do you think that is a result of the commitment and what you've achieved through having had that commitment in place?
Yeah, I think that is absolutely part of it.
Mm,
I I definitely needed to do some work to get there though. So
mm,
the work that we did, um, doing that kind of inner journey work, kind of meeting those parts in my unconscious, those scared, hurt parts of myself, and like becoming familiar with those parts so I know how to deal with them because they still come up now. Like I said, when the exhibition was looming, that all kind of came up. But I now have an awareness of those parts that are within me and I know how to hold them.
mm,
Um, and I did some further work as well, a couple of years ago, TRTP therapy, which is just another kind of way of working with those parts of actually clearing, like you go back to particular memories and kind of give yourself what you were missing in those scenarios from your past. So a lot of childhood kind of
mm,
stuff.
mm,
Um, and I worked with someone else for a little while as well, so I have delved into all of that because there was a lot that was keeping me held back.
mm,
Like for so many years I knew that I could feel that gap between, like, I knew what I wanted, what was going to make me happy in my life, but I just could not get there. I didn't have that confidence. Yeah, so much self-doubt. Um, and that gap was too big for me to get there without some help. Like I needed to do that work. So
mm,
I wouldn't be here. I just don't think I would be here if I hadn't have done all of that.
mm,
And as you said, there's something in, yeah, I guess after so many years of like, when you have something that's important to you that you want to do. I mean, it could have been something simple like, I'm not going to eat chocolate today because it's bad for me. And then you eat chocolate anyway. And it kind of shows yourself that, oh, I can't do the thing that I want to do. So with this daily practice, something really important to me that I wanted to do, and I did it. And it was like setting up this foundation of myself, proving to myself that I am capable. I can actually do the things that are important to me. I'm not like all these old stories of like, oh, I've got no willpower, I'm hopeless, like all of that old kind of crap. It's like it slams that stuff away when you can finally prove to yourself. And I really do think that is why I do feel confident and I'm not, yeah, living from that place of doubt anymore. And it's like, yeah, I think it's that I've proven to myself. I've been able to prove to myself finally that I can.
and you
So
did.
there's no space for that anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and you did.
And I
And
did. Yes.
that's wonderful. So I'm very happy for you and even proud. I don't know that I have a right to be proud of you, but I am.
No, that's nice.
And thank you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing so deeply. I really
Oh,
appreciate it, and I'm sure it will help whoever listens.
good. No, thank you. It's actually really nice to reflect on it and share, so I appreciate it.